I just finished the never-ending story. Sorry. Who wants it? I gotta chop this. Too long. See, I don't like this piece. It's my calyx. The calyx. Anyway, the never-ending story. It's an interesting thing. Don't you do it. It's Beamer, guys. The never-ending story. The nothing. I thought that was almost... I wouldn't say that was the most interesting part of the story, but it was fascinating to me. That book is really great. It really is. It might merit a second read before I pass it along, but I already know that won't happen. So whoever wants it, just tell me and I'll give it to you. Anyway, the nothingness, and they don't even call it the nothingness, they just call it the nothing. The nothing is spreading. There was also a science fiction book using that same premise, the wordplay of nothing. And this guy went out into space and he was all by himself. And he had been warned that nothing was out there, but then nothing started actually becoming a thing. And your brain is always doing this weird little flip-flop between thinking that nothing is nothing and thinking that nothing is a thing. And that's about how it works. Anyway, the never-ending story. This is so much work. Starbucks. Everyone's data mining, aren't they? Everyone's data mining. Anyway, the nothing is spreading in Fantastica, and that's what Bastion is there for in the first place. That's why he comes from the human world into Fantastica, because the childlike empress needs a new name, and only humans can give her that. And the way both of the worlds are interconnected is quite fascinating, actually. But the nothing is spreading. And a human needs to come and give her a new name, and then that will stop the blight of the nothing. Now, if you compare that to the human world, well, even in Fantastica, the nothing is simply a lack of story. It's a lack of meaning. So the nothing here is essentially our unconscious kind of running the show, and or the ego mind. And you can see that out there. The nothing is spreading here. I mean, I saw this guy, and I don't know how he came in, but his name's Tekashi69 or something like that. Somebody on Facebook posted a picture of him, and I saw his face, and I was like, what is going on with this guy? He's got like a 69 right here, and he's got tattoos all over his face, and his hair is all rainbow, like rainbow dreads, or else just rainbow colors, and his mouth is a rainbow grill that he apparently spent $100,000 to purchase for himself. And in the video, the Facebook video, I was trying to search into the scene and to see if there was anything going on in it whatsoever, and there wasn't at all. And then I went in because his appearance was curious to me and unusual, so I looked him up and listened to some of his music. And normally I don't waste time like complaining about the sort of content quality that people put out, especially as far as like mainstream music. But this one, there's literally no content. It is content without content. So if you go listen to one of his songs, and you're sort of a more aware than a not aware person, go listen to one of his songs, and there's like not any redeeming factor. I was trying to find maybe if I could get in with a beat or something. I was trying to see if there was anything in there, and there just wasn't. So to me, that's... And if you go listen to some of his interviews, he kind of seems vaguely intelligent, but at the same time just very full of himself and not really intelligent at the same time. I was hoping the music did something, but it didn't. So that's the nothing. It's an example of like all of the resources and sort of monetary influence, the power that money can buy, flowing into something like this Tekashi69 character that is exemplifying the nothing. It's a nothing. It's not a story. It's not a human. It's not compelling as a human being, or he. Yeah. It's amazing. I wouldn't even really necessarily advise to listen to any of his music, because do so at your own risk. But to come back to the original premise, that everything that goes on here is based upon a story. And enlightenment really is it's the peering past the curtain, which has the story written on it. And the curtain is overlaid, it's overlaid your vision normally until you see that it's just a curtain. It's not like an inherent and necessary part of the happening that goes on here. You can drop it and sink into the sense of body and sense of surroundings, and you'll see quite quickly that there is not any story whatsoever in any way, shape, or form. There are simply things moving, and then you have to bring the curtain back and apply mind, and then allow the thoughts to come in, and the thoughts will say, well, every single one of those people has a family, and they're all going to or from work, or they're doing this or that and the other thing, and then the story starts propagating and meanifying your local situation. But without the story, it's just particulate matter wobbling around and bumping into itself. So we have to be prudent when we are making this story, and it's for it's on a local level, and it's on a greater society-wide level. And then if you use the story creating device to extrapolate beyond the world itself, then you go off into galaxies, or you go into other areas of flat Earth that have been previously unknown to humans, or else we forgot about it, or you go into, breaking through the dome out into the liquefied exterior. These are all stories. You see what I'm saying? And what happens? The problem is that there are a lot of stories, and we have ways of painting stories. We have come up with this really kind of disgusting, might be too harsh of a word, but this kind of ugly word called truth. And what that word tries to do is it tries to say this story is right and that story is wrong. And it takes an infinite possibility spectrum, and it condenses it down into what is commonly known as black and white, but even that's incorrect, because black and white are harmless as they are, and they don't have positive, negative connotations to them. That's something else that came into the realm. This idea of, and maybe it was just due to physical, mental pain, and everything that was associated with those things went into the bad bin, and everything that was associated with physical, mental pleasure went into the good bin. I don't know. Or God wrote it all down in the Bible, and that's how we know. There are endless stories of how things are the way they are. This was actually kind of a pointless trek, because I'm trying to upload this video and it doesn't want to. So, but anyway. Some people don't know a whole lot about storytelling, or else they forgot, or else they're programmed and they lost sight of wonder and awe and the ability to be surprised. Because when you do that, then you have selected a train track, you've rooted firmly to it, you can see all the curves coming up, you can see all the curves as they went by in the back, you know every single person on the train, you know all of their behavior, and that's how you do it, and it feels pretty safe. Anyway. Too much time in one spot. I don't like it. Gotta move. Never-ending story. The never-ending story is this story. The one that we are inside of here. This is never-ending story. Right? What kind of story are you telling yourself? What kind of wishes are you throwing out into the ether? Peace.